everybody, the person I've got in front of me right now, you might have been seeing of a little video that's been popping off of a tune back in the day, which was ringing off everywhere. It was a nice little reminder of who the real people are, who were the foundations of what you're seeing today. Not saying I'm proud of everything I'm seeing today in the UK, but a big, big welcome to Smash Up. So this is the Dominic. This is the Dominic Kelman podcast. I'm Dominic. So thank you for coming on, my brother. And this is how we start every single podcast. I've got you a Heineken. You did say you want a Heineken.
Yes, mate. Yeah,
so what we do for Unity, brother, we start at the top.
Cool.
Bottom twice. And then top. So we're going to do it one more time, my brother. Right. Bottom twice. Wicked. Right. So this is how we're going to start it.
Where are we going back to? Where are you going to start from?
This is why I like these. Because people, when I message people and then they come, they're like, I wonder where he's going to go. What does he know? What's he going to say?
Okay.
So, I've always been so interested in what you're doing.
Right.
To a point where I did forget about what you were doing at a point.
Okay.
But when I was younger, so I'm talking, so I turned 30 on June the 6th.
Right.
It's June the 2nd today. You came to me. I couldn't tell you what like first song of yours I may have heard. I actually think I heard a mixtape of you first before back in the day 1 and 2 come out.
Correct.
So you had like Mighty Mo on there.
That's right.
I couldn't, and it was a mixture of I would say UK hip hop, a bit of grimy stuff, a bit of garagey stuff. But I think at that point, this name was ringing bells. But I'm gonna quickly go through. I know I haven't let you speak yet, but don't worry.
It's all good, man. We've got plenty of time.
So you are on, and people always say this to me. Oh, you just dash people out when they're there. I was like, yes, because I'm a fan of them. Right? So I'm a man in my own skin. I will tell someone, I think, right, you are on some of my favourite albums of all time, mixtapes wise. So you have a verse on Ghetto Freedom of Speech, which is Ghetts at his absolute best. Ghost Town with Smasher on, one of the best verses, best songs and best mixtapes of, I would say, my generation.
Wow.
So that's one. Tales from the Crypt. You got Smasher on this with Devlin. This is one of my top 3 albums ever. I know this album word for word. Your bar's word for word as well.
Right.
That's 2. You're not on this album, but big up Bushkin. I had an interview with Bushkin, right, on this podcast. And the first time I met you, I was 17 in Cos. Right?
Wow, okay.
On my first lads holiday, 16 of us, The Message.
Wow, okay.
I need some energy, give me some.
Now this is where the party
begins.
Yes.
And then The Art of Rolling with Devlin. Again, one of my favourite songs as time goes by. So, enough talking with me. I just wanted to make you, because you're probably shocked about what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's...
Right? To see someone in the flesh, give you your kudos and actually talk to you about how they know you and so on. So let's go from scratch.
Right.
Where was you born?
I was born in Hackney.
You were born in Hackney.
So I was born and raised in Hoxton as a child. My parents, that's where they basically started. My nan, I practically was raised by my nan to an extent. Like, my mum was working a lot, so I spent a lot of time with my nan's. She was Hoxton as well. Right. So that's where, do you know what I mean, it all sort of started. Went primary school there. And it was just like a free kid, like in comparison to what the youths have got today. You know, I'm a parent as well, myself now, do you know what I mean? So you're very cautious of society and the way what's going on, basically.
Of
do you know what I mean? Whereas when I was growing up, I felt pretty free. Like I could go outside on the estate.
Mm.
You would know everyone in the estate. It was a community vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was just free spirit. Do you know what I mean? Which I still think some of that is installed in me till this day.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, like going down a creative route, and it's like you have to be a free spirit to be a creative.
Absolutely.
To keep creating. Do you know what I mean?
100%, man. Because I feel creative people, they feel very stringent to being boxed.
Yeah.
9-to-5 mortgage, wear this suit, do like we not necessarily rebel, but we channel what all of this is: life, death, relationships, so on.
This is the thing. As you get older as well, you lose that inner child because society.
Oh,
you know
yes.
what I mean? The pressures and everything that come with like adult, but you lose that inner child. Do you get what I'm saying? I think I see a post on Instagram the other week, and it's like, it was quite ironic because I was actually having a row with not row with the missus, but a misunderstanding. Do you know what I mean? So we were both like lockheads being stubborn, and then I see this post, and it was like two adults curled up in a ball back to back, but then the inner child was like, let's play.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Because that's what you really want to do.
The ego that gets in the way of you, and it's like, no, I'm going to stand my ground, be stubborn. But really, that's the essence for all of us.
Yeah, because I mean, especially where there's a lot of podcasts going on and everyone chatting shit all over the internet, like, you know that.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I can't lie. YouTube's like the new television. Well, it is the new television.
I love it. I mean, I do it myself. So I do YouTube. Weirdly, even though we've had it for so long now, I feel like only in the last 2 years, I was telling Josh before we started this podcast, it's nearly a year now. Mate, and in a few days, it's nearly been a year since I've been doing this podcast. Nearly 35 episodes. So YouTube really and truly has changed my life. I'm not sure what it's done for you, but it shows you so many vast ranges of aspects of life, man. Yeah. It can teach you things. In some ways, in a weird way, you create friendships through YouTube. You create communities through YouTube. It's a bit dangerous because
of course,
you're kind of falling in love with a screen in some sense. But okay, so let's go back. So you sort of in between with your nan and your mum, yeah? Yeah. So I know that you were like a free spirit at that point, but do you have any brothers, sisters, stuff like that?
Yes, I've got an older brother and a younger brother, so I'm the middle child.
Okay. And without asking your age or anything like that, I've spoke to a lot of different people from your area. Yeah. I have people that were from like Mashtown that were on here. I'm sure, do you remember Mashtown?
Yeah, well, that was way after. We growing up in Hackney.
Of course. And then I had George Russo, who's an actor. Okay. Who grew up in Hoxton. So around that time in the Estates, are you seeing the trouble at that point of living in Hackney?
No, I don't really remember seeing the trouble. Maybe it was just the innocent in being a child. Like, I didn't really. It was just football. Like, you just wanted to go out, play run-outs, play football. Yeah. And the community vibe was strong. Yeah. Like, it still is. It still is.
Very vast amount of cultures.
For people that are still there, obviously there's a lot of people that's moved out.
Moved on, yeah.
Hence why you have this gentrification that's going on in these places where they're now desirable. Do you know what I'm saying? But once upon a time, they wasn't desirable.
Of course, and expensive. And I think... I mean, I didn't grow up on an estate, but I always had a lot of people around me. Yeah. A lot of people around me, good and bad, troublemakers, non-troublemakers. So I can only imagine what it would have been like for you growing up. Yeah. What sort of got you into music then? Was you what type of child was you, and like how did you actually start? Like, what was your process?
So I didn't have anyone in my family that was musical as such, like that played an instrument, but my dad was just a music fan in general. So
what type of music?
He was into like a lot of prog rock, a lot of like Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, Electric Light Orchestra. Quite, I wouldn't say diverse, but like he used to buy a lot of records just for the covers of the vinyls.
But still on the line of like experimental.
Yeah.
You know, people like Phil Collins, I mean, I can only imagine he was an absolute king back then, because his music, even when you listen to now, well, people are still struggling to understand, what is this? Even a bit like, you know, I sort of compare Phil Collins a little bit to like David Bowie, things like that.
Yeah.
They're growing up with these type of influences, and it's giving them the dance element, the rock element, in some ways the hip hop element, not necessarily with, maybe not the same energy, but still maybe with vocal rhyming, which is a bit more apparent, you know, than singing. Yeah. Because sometimes Phil Collins and David Bowie, they would sort of murmur words, and, you know.
That's how a lot of his songs was wrote, which I've, you know, discovered this later, like through YouTube, going to watch documentaries and seeing certain information, be like, oh, okay. You know, I think it's like In the Air Tonight, that song, you know, it's famous for the drums in it. But that was, he freestyled that.
Exactly. And like for you, so, right, let's like get into your mind at when you was young now. Like, so what was you into straight away? Like,
it was always sport. I was heavily into sport, always football. I was quite an active child. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was quite naturally athletic. So I would always do okay. Anything that I would do athletic wise, whether it's football, running. But as far as intro to music, that was probably like year 7, secondary school.
Wicked. So how did that come? Like, was you watching the TV? Was you listening to the radio?
It's pirate radio.
Pirate radio.
But even I think before I discovered pirate radio, it was, because basically I moved, like when I started secondary school, I moved from Hoxton.
Right, okay.
So where I moved to, I didn't know anyone.
Right, did you move far, if you don't mind me asking?
I moved to Wanstead.
Right, okay.
So when I moved there, I didn't know anybody, obviously, coming from somewhere else.
Of course, and it's like the really nicer side. Maybe not necessarily today, still expensive, but Wanstead, it would be like the sort of nicer side of East, I would say. Especially
again,
back then.
I would have been none the wiser where I was going. All I knew,
there you go, yeah.
I was going from a place that I was happy where I was.
Right, so how did that affect you then?
Well, I think I was lucky. I think I was fortunate because, obviously, I got siblings. I had an older brother, so he was already sort of settled in that area. He'd met a girlfriend and she had a younger brother. And he was basically the first person that I was introduced to.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? So him being that little bit older than me, straight away I sort of gravitated towards him and I wanted to be doing what he was doing. Yeah. So he would kind of bring me along, come play football, whatever. And I think it was one day, this team was playing and they was actually my age group. But they was a player short. Okay. So they'd said to him, why don't you jump in the game and fill the space? And he was like, well, he may as well jump in because he's their age group. Right. So I come on and played the game.
And do you believe that you was quite skillful at that point?
I wouldn't have known.
Oh, right.
Maybe I thought I was.
Okay,
I was, as most youths do.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, but there are always some kids that you watch and you just, there's a spark. Even in music, there's something you watch them play and their attitude and their focus,
the vibe and energy to it is
and just what they're like on the pitch. So was you ever like trying to get semi-pro or anything of that level?
No, I mean I was only like 12 at the time. Do you know what I mean? So young, but getting back to what you were saying about sort of finding music and stuff. When I moved to that area, I didn't know anybody. Right. So when I done this match, took part in this game, I scored a hat-trick. So
you started getting the attention.
Afterwards, the manager was like, I want to come and meet your parents. I'd like you to sign for the team.
Oh, nice.
So everyone in the team was like, oh, are you going to sign for us? Are you going to sign for us? And I was just like, oh, this is, you know what I mean? This is cool.
Yeah, of course.
And basically, that football team was all going to this secondary school where I was going to go. Nice. But at that point, I didn't know where I was going to go school-wise. So it's like that team ended up becoming my friends.
But that's the good thing about sport.
Brings people together.
Because, and blokes, because for me, the friends I've got still today that were very tight, a lot of them come from like primary school to secondary school to, well, we're all still close, but some went to uni and I went to uni as well, but we're all still very close. Parents close, all of that. But I always felt, not to bring it to me, but I always felt whenever I tried to do football or something of a sport in nature, I was just terrible at it.
Right.
So I felt that lack of, like, where my dad wasn't around here. So like I felt like that part was missing. I was the funny guy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I felt like growing up, I always missed that bond of having that side, the sports side. So do you feel being alone moving to Wanstead and being able to sort of prove your worth and like meeting some blokes, did that help you, would you say?
Maybe it helped me just in terms of like a new environment and then like the whole starting secondary school phase.
Which is rough.
Which is, it's daunting at the time, do you know what I mean?
Maybe rough's the wrong word. It's a lot.
It's just that first day, innit? You're going in, you're like, right, I don't know anybody. I don't know anyone. I don't know what to expect. You know, it's like, it's that whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just in terms of like having a group of people that you connected with, straight away, it's like, okay, it made it easier to get through.
Definitely.
What it was going to be, basically. You know?
Definitely.
I mean, so there's probably a handful of people from that team that I'm still in touch with and whatnot. So that's nice, you know what I mean? And even occasionally my dad would be like, you should try and get a reunion. You know, it'd be great just to see everyone back together in a room. And I'm like, yeah, it would be good, but life moves on, innit?
It does, man. And where I'm just about to turn 30, I'm starting to, it hurts me a lot. I'm quite an emotional person. I'm a very out there person, so that does
You're right, man. 30's good, bro.
But it just...
Man! You asked me my age, innit? So I'm 37.
37?
I'm 37 in April.
Do you know what? I thought between 35 and 38. Okay. Minimum.
Again, because of the era and the time, the CDs
and
that you're
I remember
you
bouncing around in COS when I was pretending to be 21.
So what year was that then in COS? Was that 2000 and...
So I remember it because I remember we had t-shirts a lot. COS 08. It was COS 08.
Okay.
And then we went Cavos 09 and Zanny. And then it grows to REEFA. And I did a few seasons there. But so my experience with you is, so with COS, I had Heartless there.
Yeah.
And it was, what was it called, man?
I think I've got
Temptation? Pure Temptation. And the message was ringing off.
Wow, okay.
Ringing. So we will get there. We're going to get there. We're just what
gradually
we're doing, we're just building through what makes Masha this nice, humble person that whatever you do, people will respect you and your music. You know, there's a lot of artists out there that some people just think you're a twat and your music's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's an energy you bring, even meeting you today. It's wild for me, people. Every person I meet, that people that I get to put on this podcast, everyone just gets to watch me and just comment and judge me. But it's like, I'm meeting people that I've listened to or watched for years. So, right, so let's get back into music. Yeah. So, what made you, what artists, when you were young, made you go, this is hard, I want to do this, or this is just hard? Like, what was it? Like, what genre? Like, what artists?
I mean, I don't know if I can pinpoint it to one particular artist, but definitely growing up, you know what I mean, watching Michael Jackson. Like, I remember as a youth in the parties, like, would be house parties. I'd come down, I'd try to bust a little moonwalk in front of the older, like the mums and dads and that. You know what I mean? Get a little response. Again, Phil Collins was a big, like, his music was played a lot in my house.
Right.
Like, my dad used to go watch him in concert. He'd even take me along to watch him in concert. So
you seen him in concert as well?
I see him in concert.
What's that like?
So unbelievable.
That must be mad.
Unbelievable.
Where, what, like a Wembley Arena or something?
I think it was Twickenham. I definitely saw him in Twickenham. And I think that was like the last show as Genesis they was going to do.
Okay.
So, but even again, just... sorry.
That's all right, man.
The performance level, like to even go to watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
you
then
probably didn't
later
even
coming
realize.
into music and then having an appreciation for the way you put on a show and blah blah blah. And then I'll get into some other stuff like down the line because I ended up going on tour with UB40 and doing a couple things, you know.
Well, there you go. Like, which the power of music and the power of, again, it's not just what you can do in that studio.
Yeah.
It's you, because we're buying you at the end of the day for this to even happen. Do you get it? So,
and this is the thing, I don't get it. Like sometimes
I can tell
when
that
I talk
though.
to people, and you know, you talk about what I'm doing and stuff, especially like other producers that I just got a respect for what I do. They're like, you're what attracts the like people to what you're doing. It's not so much. Not that the music's not good. I hope people like the music, obviously.
Because your style, okay. So I'm a proper music nerd. Yeah. So I'm gonna obviously go back to like when I'm talking about the music I used to listen to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your style was always pinpointed by the vocal performance. So the energy of your voice, it wasn't overpowering, and it wasn't ever under delivering. So it did hype you up to an extent.
Yeah.
You had personality in those bars. So witty. When you're hearing like the way you're rhyming is like a little bit. You can hear the influences from everything, from garage to D&B to grime to hip hop. So as someone who listens to every genre of music, you couldn't say, and this is why you've always stood out to me,
right?
Is that you couldn't say, you can't be boxed actually. You can't say Smasher is grime, Smasher is hip hop, Smasher is garage.
It's true, yeah.
That is what I was looking for. Like, there's something about the way you bless a rhythm.
It's a gift and a curse though, you know.
Tell me what the curse is.
The curse is that people want to put you in a box.
Yes.
So, me being someone that could DJ, could produce, could MC, could engineer, could do something on the live domain, like, people want to put you in a box. So it's like, in a weird way, that is like my superpower.
Yes. I mean, what you do is super because, and you've rang through 20 years?
Well, yeah. I mean, my first official vinyl release I put out was 2003.
That's what I'm saying. So,
and I'd started making music prior to that, but you know, it was PlayStation, it was Music 2000.
But this is what I mean is I know, because at this point I'm like absolutely dumbfounded by grime at this point. I'm getting every mixtape. Like, do you remember Faction G?
Yeah.
Faction. I'm getting L. Man, Faction G. I'm getting you, but I'm getting them off of like, I'm getting all the mixtapes.
Right.
Like, and my mates never used to get the mixtapes. They would get singles and they would rip radio sets. But I don't know how, but you can see I'm a DJ myself. I'm an underground DJ. So
yeah.
From young, I had a whiz of being able to find stuff. So when I found you for the first time, all I can remember is this isn't your bar, but I smoke weed every day. Right. Then I get paid. Then I get laid.
Smoke 2 joints.
Smoke 2 joints.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the song.
Yeah.
And I was like, what album is that? And I still couldn't find it before you come. I was trying YouTube. I was trying on just on Safari and
yeah.
And I'm totally lost where I was going before that.
Everything happens for a reason. That's the mixtape that you're talking about.
That's it. So that's however many years ago, and we're able to do this. So
that was like 2006. I released that.
So at that stage, like, what is this to you? Like, what is this music thing for you at this point?
Well, I guess I'd come off of the pirate radio circuit.
Okay.
I was in Nights at the Round Table. I don't know if you remember that.
I kind of, but could you explain it again, just for the viewers and even myself, because I can't fully remember.
Cool. So yeah, Nights at the Round Table was a crew. Again, I met. There's 2 MCs. There's 3 of us. So I was a DJ. There was 2 MCs: Lucky Luciano and Skeet. I met Lucky through secondary school. He was older than me at secondary school. And it's actually on my first job that I went to go and do. I went there and he was also working at the same place.
Oh, right.
Like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I was like, it's my first day.
You follow me, like.
Yeah. So from there, we just started building a bond, you know what I mean? And he was like, look, why don't you come and try the DJing for us? Because they already had a DJ in their crew. I was already building a name as a DJ in my area.
Okay.
From under 18s raves.
Did you like that?
Loved it, bro.
It's mad, isn't it?
I was going to play for nothing. I was carrying big record boxes on the train.
And all these places were packed at this point as well.
Bro, these raves, I mean, for people that are watching, people might remember this. I actually mentioned this in a tune that I released recently called Them Days with Local. I went to Atlantis, mashed up the place, man, no, I smashed it. Yeah? So that's what
Atlantis in
Atlantis, no. So Atlantis was where Epping Forest Country Club was.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is now Top Golf.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was thinking, like, I remember what you were talking about.
So that used to be called Atlantis. They had a couple clubs there, but there was Atlantis. They used to hold under 18s raves there. And my friend from school, Mystery, he used to MC there.
Okay.
But these times we're young and it's like second year of secondary school.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? So it's a hype. This rave is a hype. So he's taken me there one day, tried to blag me on basically, and they was like, nah, we don't want to let him bring him. So I was persistent, wait to the next event, take my records, my little record bags, you get what I'm saying? These times I'm just practicing in the basement. I ain't DJ'd to no one, I ain't DJ'd in a club. All I've DJ'd is just practiced in my basement.
That first set is mad.
So I've gone to this club, they've let me on. I've busted the dance, something ridiculous.
Nice, man.
Like, couple mixes, that's it. People stopped and they started clapping. That's how it was too much.
And this explains to people because as a DJ, I've played to thousands of people.
I'm tiny these times. I'm tiny. I can't even see over the decks.
Exactly. And this takes years for people that practice by themselves to nobody. Just tell them what that feels like. Because I think that feeling playing to people, like, not necessarily always a big amount of people.
Yeah.
Paid to very small and to very big. But I said that it's possibly better than sex sometimes. And my other he said, I don't know, kind of. What would you say?
Boy, I don't know, bro.
See? But for people who don't do it, they wouldn't even have to think about it. But they always wonder, wow, what would it be like to play to all those people? So, again, do you think... Because I know I've definitely done it through my life where I've gone very up and down in my DJing.
Right.
Especially when I was living in Ibiza and that. Like, do you think from that early age, you then were like sort of chasing that feeling?
I think I was just more riding the wave, you know.
Okay.
I wasn't really thinking about where could this take me? Could this be...
anything?
Like, could it be anything? It was just a hobby. Like, I used to just go record shopping every weekend of my life. That's basically what I spent from like second year at secondary school till 2005.
Okay.
I was just, you know what I mean? I was on it.
100%.
I was on it hard for the records. Once I got the buzz for it, because I was into football, and then I was playing at Leyton Orient as a kid. So I was like, oh, this is what I really wanted to do was football. Okay. But then I found music. Do you know what I mean? The under 18s, the raves, the parties. It was that whole vibe that lured me in. So then at football, I was like...
The thing is as well...
took a back seat, you know what I mean?
That little age there, so again, because that was our first lads holiday. And we were 17 going out there. And it's... I remember very vividly my whole life changing from that because we hadn't gone to a club just yet. So the first time we clubbed was to you lot.
Right.
In Con. So do you know how long we was out there? 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time.
Bro, I couldn't do that now. I'll be done out.
You do 2 days now. You're like, I need a plate of veg.
Yeah.
I just need a plate of veg. That's it.
So let's go into back in the day before EE. Them times I was mixing all night. Back in the day before, baby. Back in the day before, so.
Jeez.
Bro, let's just give him a quick clap again for that, man. So, listen. So, this stage is what... Again, I was confused again.
So this is 2007. That was back in the day, part 1.
Was that 1 or 2?
The one you're talking about is part 2.
The one I was doing was 2.
Yeah,
so let's go through the whole story from 1. Because I think a lot of people probably think 2 is 1.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah,
this is you have to clear up the facts.
Let's go through it all. Like how, from scratch.
Wow. Right. So that beat was produced by Lewi White. Big shout to
Lewi White, yes.
Yeah, he's a legend, absolute legend.
And Logan was playing it.
Right.
I think that's how I started clocking on. Yeah.
That's right. Logan, yeah, because I think in part 2, Logan gets a shout out actually in...
Oh yeah, you do. You say big up. I can't remember, but...
Nowadays it's Logan Sama. Music's changing, revolves around drama. What goes around comes around.
That's karma. That's it, yeah.
So... yeah, it was just that time, like that whole time when you pulled out the freedom of speech, Devlin, that whole period. Myself and Lewi White, we had a studio in Cable Street Studios.
Nice. Lewi White is a killer.
Lewi White's a G, man. He's another one that could come up here and chat for hours and tell you stories.
Well, mate, we'll get both of you up here, drinks, whatever, and we'll go through it all, trust me.
So, I mean, that period of time, we had a studio, and we was kind of like quite early in terms of saying like, right, let's go and get a studio.
Okay.
These
times, owning one?
We say owning one. We used to rent the studio. We used to rent the space. But I'm saying, as in taking the leap from being at your mum's yard to renting the premises.
I understand.
Which I don't know how old we was when we done that, but we was young. Do you get what I'm saying? So these times, everyone's coming to your house to record. I used to have a shed in the bottom of my garden, and I recorded pure people in that shed.
I can imagine.
Everyone from Wiley to Klashnekof to Heartless to Fuming to, you know what I mean, grime man, hip hop man, you name it, bro.
Did you like that process?
Well, that was the training ground.
Okay.
I didn't know it at the time, but that was the training ground where, you know what I mean, the equipment that I'm working with is basic. Them times you get like, for the producers, they'll understand, but you get a sound module, which is like an outboard that used to have sounds in it, right? If you bought one of them, you thought you was Timberland.
I can imagine.
That to put it into perspective, you had one of them, you're like, I'm the man, brother. I'm going to cook up some fire now. So these times, you got to remember, technology back then, it's not as evolved as what you have now. You buy a MacBook Pro and you buy one sound card and a mic and boom, you're making a hit record.
Literally. Some are making hit records on their mobile. Literally.
Like, this weren't happening back then.
And I'm glad it wasn't happening. Because I think
internet wasn't even there.
But again, I feel it all adds to the authenticity and the life that these songs live by. It's not this generic cook quick numbers, clout, microwave music. Yeah. And it's all because of how long it takes. So I prefer to mix vinyl than CD. Yeah. Oh no, but with CD, you just whack it in and you can just flick it in, flick it out. It's the process. Yeah. It's the art. So sorry to cut you.
Yes.
So back at that point when, you know, you're cooking up with next to nothing, how was that whole time? Like, is that how, had you and Lewi White made songs before?
So again, me and Lewi was from the same area. He went to the same secondary school as me, but he was younger than me.
Right, okay.
So he wasn't really, like, in terms of friend circle, like, I think where I was a little bit older at the time, where our paths didn't really cross.
Okay.
For whatever reason. And then it was like a mutual friend who was like, yeah, Lewi does music, like, he lives in a manor. And I think we connected. And then we just started doing a couple tracks and whatnot. He was working out of his mum's, I was working out of my mum's. And it was just getting a bit bait, basically. Like,
yeah,
being in your mum's yard,
you're just getting bare people coming around
through in these times. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, certain man are moving loose. You know
yeah.
Coming through your mum's house, it's like
people
right,
are bunning, drinking, all sorts
is going on. So you're like, all right, let's get a studio. So you know, we rented this space, and the building that it was in Limehouse.
Okay.
Was where it's located. But prior to me moving to Wanstead, I actually lived in Stepney for a bit.
Okay.
So it was literally around the corner from where I was living at the time. We ended up getting a studio space, and that was it. Before you know it, it was spreading, innit? Smasher and Lewi got a studio. We was already working with multiple people anyway, loads of people between us. So it was like he was doing his thing, I was doing my thing, and we combined this hub.
Yeah, definitely.
Of, you know what I mean, artists.
And do you feel like at that point, so you know you were saying that now people were saying Smasher and Lewi White together. Now, obviously, you always heard Lewi White's name a lot. Even now still.
Yeah. Is it done?
Did you feel at the time that people like respected you at that level, or was you still not sure about yourself, or like how was you at that point?
Yeah, I was definitely still finding myself as far as like creativity. I was experimenting a lot. Because the time period was just different. So we was looking to the American beats and like your Jewel Santana and that like Just Blaze. And
that was a time.
That sort of era of hip hop, sped up samples.
Yeah,
like, where do we find these samples?
Chipmunk voices and
do you know what I mean? Or like
heat makers and
Timberland with Indian samples.
Yeah,
like, where's he getting them samples? You know, and then we used to go be buying CDs from wherever. I go like them times I was going sample shopping.
Right.
So even prior to back in the day, like my first sort of big tune that, well, I definitely would say like popped off as far as creating a buzz was called Take My Advice.
Okay.
And that was featuring an artist called Loudmouth.
Right.
Again, there was just a group of guys that I was recording with, given studio time from like Walthamstow.
Okay.
There was like a collective, so there was a few of them. There was Loudmouth, Chris the Mentalist, a guy called Silent. There was Hot Shot. He was originally on the first version of the original POW. There was Fuming, who obviously was on POW. So there was like this little collective from Walthamstow. So them man used to be coming to record at my house.
Right, okay.
And then I kind of clicked with Loudmouth. So one time we must have been like, yeah, let's go record shopping. So actually get on the train, went up to West End, go to the record shop, pick out a stack of records and sit there until you hear a loop or something that you're like, cool, I can take that home and chop it up.
Absolutely.
And I sampled this Marvin Gaye record. It's actually from like a film soundtrack, Trouble Man.
Okay.
And I chopped that up, and it is this sample, take my advice, take my advice, take my advice, don't do it, please. But it's like the beat timing of it was a 3/3 pattern.
Okay.
So most beats that we hear today are 4/4, right? All beats that we hear on the radio today, I'd say 99.9% of the time are 4/4.
Okay.
This beat was 3/3.
And
so
for
the
them,
timing,
for the people listening, like what type of genre would that be?
that was
For people
hip-hop.
to kind of know.
That was hip hop.
Okay. So like, for example, like say like a trap beats now, that's a big thing over in America. And a lot of the hip hop's like it's a
the hats, the
it's not
trippets.
boom, but it's not like boom bap, but it's quite like heavy, fumbly bass mixed with trap.
Bass,
yeah, it's not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's my type of hip hop that I prefer, but the sound. What do you think of the sounds right now? Would you say you're happy? Like say for example with the drill sound, or
I think sonically stuff is sounding sick.
Yeah,
sonically stuff is, especially like from the UK, the levels of
your most recent album has some incredible production on there.
Locked In, Locked On.
Locked On has some great
thank you, man.
Production on there. Is that you?
So that's myself, along with my good friend Aaron. He's a keys player and a musician, someone that I've been working with since 2012. Because
I'll tell you this, yeah. There's one thing I find, because as someone who's an underground DJ that does a lot of like minimal house, garage. I'll show you once we finish so you can kind of grasp the type of stuff I play when I play on radio and stuff like that. Now, I've always found people spitting on garage, and I'm not talking like necessarily what you do or what Heartless did, or because to me, at that time when you guys were doing this thing, it didn't sound like cringy. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right word to use. I don't want to sound disrespectful.
I know what
but say like nowadays, there's this new sort of thing where people are spitting on like house and garage, and sometimes the garage beat itself is very. And I'm not someone who hates just everything that's generic. Yeah. I don't hate everything generic, but it just sounds really cringy and a bit trashy. Mm-hmm. So I was worried. Not saying I was worried that that's what you would do. Yeah. But when I went into it, I wasn't sure what I was going to get for one.
Yeah, yeah.
But one, as someone who's on beats, underground stuff, I thought, wow, the production on this is A1. This is great. And again, your performance on there, you're getting a different range of content on there from you. Yeah. And I feel like it's a really good direction because a lot of people are going into that now, but the production is just very techie.
Right.
Tacky, not techie. Okay. Do you agree with me there?
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. And I think with the album, it was really weird because prior to making that album, so I released a song called Rollin', which is kind of like the standout song from the album. I released it as a single 2019 March.
Okay.
And I was already sitting on that record for maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Right, because I made this complete other album, which is more a hip-hop album.
Okay. Did you release?
I'm still sitting on that.
Okay. Why?
I'm still sitting on that. Because again, it was like the direction that I went in. So I spent 2 years like creating, sculpting this album. And then I had this one garage song that I'd made called Rollin'. And I wasn't like thinking kind of what you're saying really. Like whenever you hear garage, it always feels like it's a bit cringy or it's a bit cheesy.
Well, garage and an MC on it.
And an MC, exactly, right? So I was like, are people going to be into this? And I remember playing it to my brethren, and he was like, that's the single. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that's the single.
But again, it's what you bring.
It's the amalgamation.
AJ Tracy does it. I'm not having it. I'm sorry. And that's not being bad, man. I'm a music buff and I speak how I feel about the music. I don't want to mollycoddle. But, again, and I know what I love about this conversation is we're both music lovers.
Yeah.
And it's so great to hear you talk about your craft and actually open you up about how you feel about what you're doing and what you've done. But we completely brushed past how back in the day got made.
Yeah, for real.
But it's cool. Because this is the way conversations happen.
That's right.
Sometimes
you jump about.
I get messages, why are you always cutting people off? And sometimes this is how conversations happen when you are invested in it and interested.
Yeah.
So
let's
you and Lewi White.
Right. So yeah, Lewi White made the beat, the original. But he made both beats back in the day, part 1 and part 2.
And did he and you both pick all the samples and all the songs you wanted to speak about?
So the part 1, I don't know why, but in my memory, I remember part 2 more than I do part 1.
Yeah, I can't fully remember
part 1 is a bit more. It's more lyrical. Like ain't as playful with the samples.
Yeah.
But it was more lyrical and it was quite venomous. But the whole thing with the samples, I think when we made it, like, I definitely know with part 2, we sat there, it would just been a normal session. Louis would have started cooking up a beat, the bass line, boom, 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 and I'm just there in the corner. And I'm like, back in the day, I had dreams. But I'm writing it because I know the song, I know the garage records, innit? I know the original.
So is he showing you the samples and then you're...
No, so I've just blurbed it. Like back in the day, I had dreams.
Oh, okay.
Knowing that the sample's gonna come from dreams. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Right? So
in my dreams.
Dreams, yeah, smoking beats.
Smoking beats, that's it.
So I've showed that to Louis, and he's like, "Oh my god." He's like, bruv, you just need to go through the whole tune like that.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there like scratching my head, like, are you serious, bruv? Like.
It was mad.
Ain't that a bit swag? Like, and he's like, no, I'm telling you, bruv, just do the whole tune.
But what made you think it was swag at that point?
Because I was repeating a line. Back in the day, something.
Oh, then something. Okay.
It's something. Back in the day, it's something. to me that was too basic.
Okay.
Like at the time, anyway, I'm thinking, but actually, that's where the art is. It's in the simplicity.
Yeah, but it's hard because the word in there.
The good thing about it is around the samples, but the sample, I think part 2 has like something like 43 samples.
Yeah, but it's not simple. It is simple, but not simple.
I had to write the tunes down, so like pinpoint burning, because you as soon as you say the tune, you would know the standout point from the record.
Of course.
You get what I'm saying? So if I said like, Tubby T, more weed, more ganja now. Do you know what I mean? Thingy, baby. So solid, because you get the salt solid on the dilemma, before dilemma. It's so solid.
Yeah.
So all them little lines I was writing, and then that's when I incorporated it into lyrics, which kind of then made it into a story. Because I get to the point where I say, I was linking this girl, I used to link this girl in my car or something like that. I say, and she loved diamond rings.
Oh yeah, she loved
making love in the back of my car was a regular thing. Wanna spend the night with you. Do you know what I mean? So it's just that it just made sense as a story. And it got to the end of the tune, and then that's when I went on a tangent. It was like, back in the day before Steps made melody, back in the day before Wookie made Scrappy, back in the day before US Alliance, back in the day before Gabriel, back in the day before Tough was Jam. Something like that. I can't remember the order, but then that was it. It was like 8 bars of just quickly flinging them all in. Do you know what I mean?
But that, again, a few things there to pay kudos to. The sample selection was mad. So that's 1. 2, your lyrical performance on there, mad. Everything like that song is special to a lot of people, to garage lovers, to grime lovers, to hip hop lovers. Like, do you understand what that song did for people?
I think maybe more so now, but I remember at the time, again, like the studio that we was in, Cable Street Studios, we was at one end of the building, and Roll Deep used to be at the other end of the building. So Wiley used to be going to the studio all the time. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, I remember I played the record to him, and he was just like, bruv, you blew your brain up to think of that song.
Yeah.
And he was just so like, he couldn't believe it. And I remember going to link him at the studio one time, like early in the morning, because them times he used to be up crack of dawn, so he'd be phoning you like early in the morning. When I met him in the studio, and I walked in there, and he was just blaring it full blast. And he was just sitting there walking around the studio. Yeah. And I think Rico or someone come in and was like, whose tune's this? And he was like, Smasher. And again, like you see me, I'm quite quiet. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite reserved. See, he was just like him. And he was like, what? Him? Like, made it, you know what I mean? But he couldn't believe it. Like,
it's weird meeting you and like noticing how you are, you know, you're laid back, you listen, patient, you're not loud. I don't know why, I think your music may give people the impression that maybe you're jumping around.
Yeah. raving every day. I am when I'm making it. Yeah. I'm having a good time when I make it, but it's very much...
it's a release, you know?
I'm on my own when I'm making it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when, again, the creative side of me just comes out.
So let's talk about, so how did you create a relationship with Devlin, for example?
Devlin was through Lewi White.
Okay.
So... Lewi, I don't know how we got introduced to Devs. I think it might have been through Ghetts.
Okay, so
Ghetts and Lewi already had a relationship. Like when Ghetts first come out of jail,
yeah,
and nothing at that point, he was like, "I want to get on the music thing." I think Lewi was one of the first people he connected with.
Well, he's made some great music with Lewi. Great stuff.
So, I mean, on that freedom of speech, me and Lewi basically shared the production amongst the CD. But again, we had the studio together, so it was like we was family.
Are you able to tell the people which ones?
Yeah. We can scroll through it. So,
all right. So we got Commandments. That was Lewi White.
Commandments is Lewi.
That is. I took part in Account for Crimes. That took part. That was out of my mind.
Let me have a look at the track list.
You got The Ghetto.
So majority of it, I'll tell you what I had a hand in was Ghost Town. I made Ghost
Which
Town,
you have a great verse on.
Featured on, yeah. So
and Hook. So yeah, talk about that. How did that come about? And Yeah, because that was a great concept, a great use to you and Ghetts worked well together. I was a heavy Ghetto fan, so I didn't know that you used to have a relationship until this come out, and I was like, smash her again, and then Devlin again, and smash her again. I'm like, what's going on here?
I was lurking.
Yeah, so talk about how that sort of came together.
So with that particular track, I think I already had the beat made and the hook. I think maybe at the time I was thinking about using it as a record for myself. And obviously we was doing this project with Ghetts. And at that point, like he was constantly coming through the studio and just recording. I think that ended up getting cut down compared to some of the records that didn't make that mixtape.
Right, okay.
Like, and some of that music was amazing. I remember at the time thinking some of them other tracks should have made the cut. Like
for me, like this album was his Marshall Mathers LP. For me, like this was when Ghetts was practicing. Because I love like offensive humor, offensive music, whatever it is. Like when I grew up, like Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP blew my mind forever. Don't like what he makes today, but that's for another day, that conversation. But this was just like, he had that like 2000 and life sort of.
He had the venom in him, and at the time, obviously, there was a lot going on in the grime world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
a lot.
Was clashing with the Wileys and the Skeptors.
The Boy Band No Voices, the movement.
Yeah, it was basically, there was all of that was going on. So
I miss it, man. I miss it so bad, man.
I mean, there was some crazy stories, man, at the studio. But I think just us having this space that allowed people to come and be creative. And again, maybe we didn't really recognize this at the time. It was more just like, it's what we had the passion in. Didn't really know if it could turn into a career or turn into something longevity-wise. We were just doing it because we loved it, really.
Yeah, exactly. But then, do you feel
I still am doing it because I love it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like if it wasn't for the passion.
But when you're making songs with people like Devlin Ghetts, and this is high level, you ask people what their top 5 UK. Well, not necessarily grime. I think you ask people what their UK top 5 is, they will have a mixture of UK hip hop and grime, and Devlin Ghetts is definitely in people's top 5. That's what I would say. And then we can even ask each other what our top 5s are and see what you think. But what is that like? I'm not saying that you're not up to par. But we can both sit here and say Devlin Ghetts are and some elite, different alien lyricists.
Of course.
So how does that feel for you to come and do such great verses on both songs? It's crazy to me.
Again, it's just like, you know the level's high, so you're trying to raise your level.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you get great.
So when you're raising your level, what is that? What is that to people?
See, now I'm in a different space where I'm raising my own level internally.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, if I'm happy, that's really
all
that
the
matters. The rest is a bonus.
That's a really good way to put it, man.
But at that point in time, it definitely would have been like, rah, these men are firing. I've got to try and bring my A game.
But that's a big thing because, those mixtapes.
What's weird about the Ghost Town, if you listen to that track today, what we're saying is weirdly kind of going on now.
Yeah, 100%. Welcome to the Ghost Town where there's plenty of lost souls.
Yeah, I'd have to listen to the lyrics and relearn it.
Yes, yeah. If I had it, listened to it. I remember yours was like,
when I was old school, swing it out, egg the yard and then wing out.
Blaze two dudes and I agreed out half a spliff and I'm me now. But this is what I'm saying. Let's give him another clap, Josh Madder. Come on, man. We got fucking Smasher here. And I just want you to know, my brother, like, it's a big thing to have stamps in these times of such a great scene. And for me, as such a great fan of that period, to see the UK scene now, I'm going to be honest. Again, it may be to get me getting to 30 thing.
Yeah.
I just look around and I think, you guys did not have what we had when people were just spitting at each other. Like, we all spit. I had 4 mixtapes. Me, myself.
Man.
Because I loved everything so much. Everyone was spitting. Everyone wanted to be better artists. And make mixtapes and create different music. Like, think of the artists that come up when you were coming up. And think of the Digger D's. And, you know, I just think these kids, they haven't got a Smasher, a Kano, a Wiley, a Ghetts, a Devlin. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, for you as someone who knew Wiley, or no, I don't know how close you are, but, you know, is it hard to see where he's at now, where people sort of deem his legacy how very highly tarnished? Do you see that? Or
for me personally, his legacy can never be tarnished.
Me neither. For me personally,
because it all speaks for itself. There's too much history there that speaks for itself.
But if you speak to the average listener,
yeah,
they have no idea what Wiley's done, which really kills me. They ain't listened to Tunnel Visions 1 to 5. They didn't listen to Treading on Thin Ice. Yeah. They didn't see him clashing everyone at Sidewinder. Yeah. They didn't.
I used to go to the record shop and he'd have a whole wall of vinyl in the shop. You go Rhythm Division, Bo, they'd have a whole wall of vinyl.
It's just, it's hard.
Like, you can't even put that into context. Like, even for today, like, I'm pressing vinyl now. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm shotting vinyl. I've done a vinyl press this year.
Okay, nice. Do you make it yourself over there? Or?
No, so you get it done at a press plant. Get it manufactured. Yeah, we get it all done here in the UK.
Cool.
Unfortunately, there's not as many press plants open here as there was back then. So
of course,
now it's a 3-month manufacturing process from start to finish. So from the time I send in my tracks to get mastered and then cut the lacquer, which is the metal work that every vinyl gets stamped from, that's a 3-month turnaround.
Okay, and how much does that cost?
Again, it just comes down to aesthetics. Like, if you want label print on the vinyl, if you want it white labeled, do you want plain white sleeve, do you want colour printed sleeve? So anything from £1,500 upwards.
Okay, nice.
But again, just that's because that's instilled in me, innit? Like the old school, the vinyl.
Absolutely.
I've got loads of vinyl. I'm a vinyl lover.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Like,
I still got all my vinyls, like all my collection, bar the boxes that got stolen out my cars back in the day.
Oh man, that would absolutely kill me because, like, music's more than anything. I just think music's the only thing that actually I understand in this world. Sometimes I like it's saved me. You know, and for what you do for people, you best believe it saved people. You know, so all right. As we wrap up,
we're gonna wrap up already. Yeah, I feel like I ain't even touched.
We've probably done what, an hour and 10 minutes? Okay. But if you've got more to go, we can go as long as you want.
Yeah.
We usually do an hour.
No, that's good.
It's entirely up to you. But all right, we're gonna go into this here. So. All right, what would you say your UK top 5 is?
Artists. UK top 5 artists. Ghetts is in there.
Same.
Giggs is in there.
Same. The thing is, you know, listen. Before we continue, I am so into Giggs. I'm going to be honest, not really now.
Right.
But Hollow Meets Blade, Hard Bodied, Who Said That with Tiny Bruce, Walk in the Park. I can tell you all these word for word.
Right.
If it weren't real talk, then I wouldn't rap. It was real greasy, but it's all like that. Okay,
right,
sorry.
I'm going to drop a bomb on you then.
Go on.
Landlord album.
No, I liked it.
Yeah?
Did you like it?
I produced the best on there.
What?
With Young's Teflon and
With
Aystar.
Tef and that? What?
Yeah.
Really? I'm surprised we didn't get into that. So how did that come around? Are you seeing what Smash is just casually chucking in there? No, that is a big tune.
Well, yeah.
With Aystar
and
Teflon. Yeah, that is a good album, actually. That is a good album.
Album's cold.
Cold album.
And a big moment for him because that was the first time he was allowed to perform.
Yes, because he did the Landlord movie. Like,
he done a show, Hammersmith Apollo.
That's it.
I went to it. Sick.
Mate, that must have been because Landlord had whipping excursion on it.
Yeah, that was the first
That
single.
must have been. I've seen gigs live twice, and people don't understand that I know every gig song I'll probably say up to Landlord. Past that, he sort of lost me. But what was that like? Please, we're gonna go on for another 40 minutes.
Yeah, again, just like timing, right place, right time. I don't think I'd ever met Gigs. Maybe once, actually, around the freedom of speech time.
Okay.
I think he came to the studio that we had then. But I wouldn't probably have even remembered that he'd been there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's only that Lewi or Ghetts would have said that, oh yeah, he came. But the opportunity came through Buck. Buck is like Giggs' right-hand man. I was at work and where I was working, Buck come in.
Oh, right.
And I don't know. I don't even know how I know Buck, but you know,
Buck's
what I mean?
always. We used to sort of spit
like
a little bit.
Him, yeah, I felt like I'd known him because I had to say to him, I was like, "Where did I know you from?" Do you know what I mean?
He's always lurking around.
So he'd obviously knew that I, you know what I mean, made beats. And
yeah.
He's like, "I know you got beats, bruv." So
the best
like,
is hard.
He's like, "I know you got beats. Send me some beats." So I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna do it." So I remember compiling the track list, 10 beats. And I kind of just tried to cover all bases. Because the thing is, this is the thing, as a producer, sometimes when you're pitching beats to artists, especially like my versatility, like you said, it's come from garage to hip hop.
Well, that's just blown my brain tonight, just thinking about this.
So,
because that beat is hard. And again, I wouldn't have said that you would have made that. That's mad.
So, like, one day I'm in the studio, he calls me, he's like, "Is this your beat?" But obviously he's probably baffed because he's thinking Bucks told him where I worked.
Right.
So he's just thinking this Bucks just met to some random guy.
Random geezer just...
Do you get what I'm saying?
Did he know of your music gigs?
So I don't think he was aware, not that I'm aware of anyway.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, "Did you make this beat?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm about to jump on this now for the album, fam." So I was like, wow, sick. Like,
yeah. So did you know that
I didn't know who was going to be on the track. He had the beat, he heard the beat, he liked the beat. That was it.
So what is that process like for people to understand? So your beat, did you send that to Buck then?
Yeah.
And then, but what's the trust procedure like then? That's just not going to disappear and...
Do you know what? Them days are gone.
Okay.
Them days are gone of worrying about someone's going to steal your beat and blah, blah, blah. Like, them days are long gone.
Why is that?
So for any producers, get your headspace out of that frame of thinking, because that's not where it's at. It is now at, if someone uses your beat, you're going to get facilitated.
Yeah, because there's a lot of avenues for you to expose as well now. Because I mean, if you
look at that. If I just thought to myself, what if they do something?
Then you wouldn't have worked with them.
Then it would never have happened.
Because a bit like the other day, Benny Banks. Benny Banks wasn't getting paid by Link Up TV.
Right.
He owed him like $6,000 or something. So he just started. He did a big post on his Instagram saying, "Look, I'm angry now. You lot keep ignoring me. You owe me $6,000." And then all his followers, he's telling them all to go and message Link Up TV. And then within the day, he got it paid.
Right.
So he just shows you, I guess, the power of people wanting people to do things fairly. But it can get techie, especially on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it can do, but on a basic level, like as a producer, you've got to just get your beats out there to artists.
Absolutely.
You've got to be networking. You've got more chance of making an opportunity if a man jumps on your beat.
Then you just holding it for...
And again, this is a prime example of that. That particular beat, like, that was already in my hard drive for 3 years prior to that being heard. So to me, that beat is already old.
So when... Wait,
but when I say old, I don't mean old like, that beat's no good. Like, I mean as in, it's old to me.
Oh, yeah, of course. 3 years is a long time.
Do you understand? But to someone else,
they're like, what?
To hear that for the first time, That's why you can't put an expiry date on music.
No, absolutely.
And that was the valuable lesson that I learned in getting that placement, because then the running theme would be when I'd speak to people and I'd say, I'll produce a track on the Landlord album. They go, what track? I'll say the best. They say, that's one of my favourite tunes.
No, I was literally going to say that. And that is one of the best songs on that album.
I'm not saying that for the camera or nothing. That's just...
Well, you saw my face as soon as you said the best, my brain started ticking. And I'm like, you've got some A-class rappers on there, Tef and Aystar hard.
That was nothing to do with me. That was all Giggs is doing.
Okay, so all right. So when that happens, how do you feel about that as a producer?
I was
that just not saying random artists, but to you they might be random. I mean, do you know of Teflon and
I didn't
Aystar?
know of Teflon or Aystar.
Tef's hard.
I didn't know.
Aystar's from Liverpool.
Obviously, I'm aware of them now.
Oh yeah.
So this is 5 years ago, but
so
at the time,
would you engineer everything, their voices and everything?
No. So my part in that was the beat. I just sent the beat.
Cool.
Then it was like you send what you call the stems, which is basically the parts that make up the track. Get them the stems.
Yeah.
They'll then get someone to mix it, master it, record it, or do whatever they're gonna do.
Okay.
So really, my work there is done. The beat is made. You've got a bass to go and do your thing on.
So how many beats did you send, Bob?
I think it was like 10 beats.
Okay, and were they quite similar?
Nah, so I put like a variety. Again, this is what I'm saying about when you're pitching to artists.
Of course.
Obviously, if you know an artist's music, then you know a type of sound that they do, or you think. But like that track that I sent to Giggs at the time, I remember just thinking like, this is like a hard hip hop beat, like old school.
But again, you know, you said it was 3 years. Like you said, it was 3 years that you made it and go.
It was already sitting in the vault.
That was perfect for that time of how UK rap was going as well. So that has blown my brain. So that must have been a very big achievement for you. I mean, was it a big achievement for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was like every 2 to 3 years, I tend to get like a good placement with a good artist.
Okay.
And it's like for that time, that was the one.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the period for me, do you know what I'm saying? And also there was a couple other things that spanned off of the back of that. So through Giggs doing that beat, then obviously went and watched the show like live, which was mad. You're there.
That must have been madness.
I just brought my brethren along with me. Do you know what I mean? We was at the back, right at the back. Hammersmith Apollo comes out, does the best. People are going crazy, crowd singing along. And I'm in there like a fan, like on my phone, just filming it. Do you get what I'm saying? Just trying to capture the moment. And I'm like, yeah, this is cold. And then obviously the relationship with Giggs was kind of built there, where I was like, okay, I want to keep sending him tracks.
Yeah.
I think maybe like a year went down the line, and I'd made this track on my brethren, Danny Weed.
Yeah, Danny Weed, yeah.
So he had the studio next door to me, and he had
Creeper.
this classic. He had the machine. That's what he called a machine, yeah, the Native Instruments machine with the pads, but he hadn't really used it. So I'd gone into his studio, and like in 15 minutes, I just banged out this little beat. So I Instagrammed it, clipped it, and I thought, Giggs would sound so cold on this beat. So I sent him just that 15-second clip of this beat. Didn't hear nothing.
Okay.
Couple days went by. He phoned me. He was like, yeah, smashed that beat. He's like, my man said, send it. I was like, who? He's like, Drake. He said, send the beat. I'm thinking, what? What?
Wait, what?
What? So he said,
and what type of beat was it at this point?
It was like, he described it as like a West Coast kind of sounding beat.
Okay.
I don't know if that describes the style
best
of
way.
beat.
Because when I started hearing
It had like pianos.
I started thinking of Snoop and
it was
Nate Dogg,
it was kind of that vibe a little bit. But Giggs
which
was
is
like,
still a Giggs vibe, though.
He was like, I can hear just someone with some swaggy vibe on it, just, you know what I mean? And it was like similar sort of tempo to the best. It was like 90 BPM.
Okay.
So he's like, right, my man said send the beat. So I'm thinking, what the hell?
You're sweating at this point, bro.
Like, but
You're thinking,
but then the craziest thing about the whole thing is that I didn't have the beat. The beat was made in the studio next door.
Ah,
So I phoned Danny. I'm like, Dan, I need to come and pick you up now.
We need to wrap this up.
But obviously, I'm saying to Giggs, like, look, I don't have the beat. I can send it tomorrow.
Okay.
But he's probably thinking,
It's too late.
what are you on, fam? You be telling me tomorrow. You said send the beat tomorrow. This is Drake. You need to send the beat now.
Now. Yesterday.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was genuine. It was like literally, I didn't have the parts to the beat. The beat was in the next studio. So I had to phone Danny and said, bruv, I'm coming to pick you up now. We need to go and get the parts out for the beat. That's what we done. I drove down to the studio.
So did
I
you
got
get
the
it
stems
all?
out. By the time I'd done it, like done a rough little mix on it, sent it, it was like silly o'clock in the morning. Next day I woke up to a text from Giggs and he was like, oh, I thought you weren't on it, fam. Smiley faces, you know what I mean? But he was like, yeah, I sent it. And then that was it. And then it's just like waiting game, innit? You're just sitting there like a kid at Christmas, bruv.
That
like,
must just be,
you're thinking,
that
what?
must be grueling. But again, a blessing. Because think where you've come from, the music you've made, the music you're making, to where it's going.
The thing is the really mad thing about it is that it transpired that Danny knew Giggs as well. So when I'd phoned Danny and said like, look, he's saying Drake wants to jump on this beat, like saying send the beat. He's like, bruv, is this gas or what? He's like, let me phone him and find out it's facts, innit? So he sent him the text message from Drake. And he just put, this beat is hard, capital letters. So I was like, wow, okay.
So,
but
tell me what, okay. So at this point, like, you've capitalized on one with Giggs at that point, yeah? So now you're getting these feelers for other big artists that are, are you starting to,
do you know what?
Say, right, I really need to up my shit.
No, do you know what? They weren't even, I was more, like, I just rated Giggs on just a whole next level. Because
100%.
One, he didn't have to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? I've met a lot of people, bruv, in this industry, and for a man to just say, let me just pass that way.
Yeah.
Which is a big way. Like,
it's a big way.
Do you get what I'm saying? So, just that alone, I was like, wow, you don't need to do that.
And you start getting confused as well. You're like, even like with what I do.
Even to the point where like maybe I might have been acting nervous, like in a sense of
course.
I'm phoning him. I was like, any news? Do you get what I'm saying? And he's like, fam, I know it's exciting, but man, I just got to be professional. Do you get what I'm saying? I've sent the beat.
Relax,
that's it. Basically, relax, innit? And then that's when I'm like, okay, do you know what? I don't even want to ring your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it already feels that. But it is exciting, and it was exciting. But what it showed me was the lesson that was learned. What I take away from it was, again, that's the biggest artist in the world that heard my beat and said it's hard. So
yeah, it's mental. You can't.
What do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
and it shows you the speed and unpredictability of this life. Even me sitting there speaking to you like this, I couldn't have said this when I see you jumping around years ago. Do you understand?
Because, yeah.
So it's all a blessing and a process. So I mean, I'm even lost for words because because I got to sit down and sort of decipher your life and even try and understand like your personality as the man I've been listening to for all this time.
Yeah.
And then all these little bombshells that just kind of keep coming, and it's like, I don't even think you realize the potential you have. Now I'm sitting back sort of looking at the man and listening to the man himself smash out. I'm thinking, oh no, you've got a long road.
I hope so. I really hope so.
For me, long road.
I want to be leaving a legacy, innit? Like,
well, you have already.
Yeah, some people would argue, a good one.
Absolutely.
But to me, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Which is amazing.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a big thing. So we got up to number 2. So we said Ghetts.
Yeah.
We said Giggs.
Yeah.
We got 3 more.
Oh, what for the okay top
For
five?
the UK, anyway.
See, I would put Klashnekof in there.
Klashnekof's hard.
Like,
I used to love...
I know to the, you know, the youths of today,
It's a shame, man.
they might not understand who Klashnekof is, but
They won't know who people like Jess, Scrine, Brain Tax, Chester P, you know, that, and it annoys me because that little period there of UK rap.
yeah, it's a
Kashmir, you know, these people.
time. It's a different time.
Mental.
But if you're talking about lyricism, I'll put him up there.
Oh, what, Clash?
Yeah.
Oh,
Put
man.
him up there, man.
You know, like Black Rose, Son of Naya,
That album,
Murder. That album is different.
Yeah.
Different. Oh, and the production, everything about that album. And I was so young.
Yeah.
Just listening to this, well, I guess today's version of Woke, which I won't go into, but today's version of Woke to then, very different.
Yeah.
Like the authenticity of his higher being, you weren't really hearing, especially that from the UK at that point. So Klashnekof, absolutely, man. Definitely.
So I said,
Ghetts,
Gigs, Clash.
Klashnekof.
I feel like I'm putting all rappers, but I feel like
Nah, but that's cool.
Who's gonna take the full spot? Don't know. Are we just talking about artists or just like contribution to UK? Like
whatever you interpret it to be. So like, who sort of comes to your mind straight away? I would say could be
Heartless crew. Like,
yeah, man.
I know, like not from an art, like you know what I'm saying, as far as tunes, like we're saying artists, but just in terms of influence that they've had on myself, and
Massive.
I think the contribution that they've made to UK music.
Even like getting to speak to Bushkin, it's just a blessing what I'm able to do with this podcast. Like just being able to unlock just little things about the people itself. Because you can just create this illusion of so many different things when you're listening to these people.
Yeah.
Or videos or sets and you really don't know or appreciate what they've done until you meet them. Me personally. You can, you know, because you work, I wouldn't say you work a lot with, but in the past I feel you've worked a lot with Mighty Mo.
Yes.
So is there a reason you worked with him a lot compared to maybe Bushkin or?
No, so basically like rewinding back to earlier period of time, back to the round table days, one of the members in our group was related to Bush. That's his cousin, they're cousins.
Right.
So these times, Heartless used to be throwing a lot of events and we would support them on the events and was basically, we was learning from them, learning the ropes, to get what I'm saying.
Mental time.
So, later years, like relationship was built more so with Mo, like individually.
Okay.
Because I think around the time to start with, Mo was very kind of like standoffish.
Really?
People coming around them. Just in terms of like, you know what I mean?
Because they're probably all trying to...
Obviously, there was at the height of their career, basically.
Yeah, they're probably trying to feed off them in some way.
Yeah,
you know?
so you know what I mean? So you would have been on the lookout for people that was coming around, but obviously our vibe was genuine.
Okay.
Lucky was related to Bush, so we was like extended family, I guess.
Understand, yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So again, just like learning, watching them times, them lot was just throwing raves all the time.
Yeah.
We'd be supporting them like warm-up act in a rave. Again, training ground, do you get what I'm saying? Learning your trade. But later years, I think one time Bush booked me for maybe like something in Amsterdam. And I don't know why, but that's how the Smoke Two Joints track come about.
Smoke Two Joints? I remember.
So like,
one of my friends, Tom, he used to blaze that tune down, but I used to love it.
So again, and that was one of the vibes that had me and Mo connected up. Do you know what I mean? Was Herbs and
Yes, brother.
So that tune was kind of the start of us making music. And again, at the time, I had the studio with Lewi. Mo used to be coming down a lot, and then the relationship just got solidified over a longer period of time, and I ended up helping Mo with like the Yaga Yo mixtapes that he put out. I produced a lot of music that went on them mixtapes as his solo stuff. So basically, I've always been around them. Always been around them, like from 2003.
And that's the thing that I think...
Even up until the other week, like, they was like, yeah, we're doing a stream, come through. Like, we've got the whole club to ourselves, come down. Like, most have come down. And
But again...
You know what I mean?
I know I keep saying it since you've been here, but I just want you to sort of, like, realise people are buying you. That's what I want you to take on board with this year. So, like, heed my words as a fan of you. People are buying you. So, whether that's you... you know, supplying production, vocals, a vibe, a rave, a mix, or just a conversation. People know they're going to get a down-to-earth, real person in front of them. And they're going to get whatever it is from the heart. Like, you are a music lover. You're a life lover at the end of the day. And, you know, I'm just really happy that you actually, when I reached out, that you got back in contact with me, man.
Bro, it's for me, like, I've met so many people through Instagram, social media, just connecting, and it's all about the vibes.
It is, man.
Straight away, I watched a couple of your things, I was like, you've got a vibe.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And again, that realness, you can't fake that energy.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and as well, when you're, you know, when you do, like, what I'm doing with this, like, it's weird. I look where you're sitting and how many people have sat there now, and I always think, like, conversation should just be simple, or you know, I get nervous every time, but it's so weird how talking you need a rhythm, and you need because every, like, first 10 minutes of, like, a podcast with someone usually is a bit...
Could be a little bit stiff. Could be a little bit...
not necessarily stiff. It's just again, what Josh has always taught me. Let's big up Josh, man. Big up Josh, brother. Yeah, like, he told me, Dom, they are more nervous than you. Yeah. They have no idea who you are, what you're asking them.
Even though I was a little bit nervous prior to coming here. I've got nothing to be nervous about, but it's just a natural thing where you're like...
Of course.
Right,
and it's weird. I should be like, wow, brilliant. I get to just sit here and just throw questions at Smasher. But look, as we wrap up, man, is there anything you wanna say that you got coming out, or anything like that, or just any last words, brother?
Yeah. So I've got a new album coming.
Wicked, man.
Vibes in Motion. So that's gonna be landing around July. So I've spent the last year basically working on this album.
Amazing, man.
Since the start of lockdown last year.
Okay, nice.
Which obviously I released Locked In, Locked On last year.
Yes, which is a big album. It's on all DSPs, guys. So I know it's on Spotify. I'm a Spotify head, so I don't know if it's on Apple Music. But is it on Apple Music?
All digital streaming platforms.
All DSPs. Go and have a listen to that, guys. And where the sun's coming out, you won't regret it. It's the epitome of what Smasher is and what he represents, man. So definitely go and listen to that.
Big up,
all right, people. So listen, let's clap Smasher.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much, guys. It's the Dominic Campbell podcast. Thank you so much, Josh. Again, thank you, Smasher. Until we meet again, my brother.
Respect, my bro.
Respect, man.
I was kind of hoping, roll to the garage rave with my baby. Good times, yeah. You're the one that you saved, man. Good times, yeah. Bright days shine again, this time round again. I wanna see you smile again, yeah. I wanna see you smile again, so I'm going all out again, yeah.
You're all mine, baby, my baby.